The purpose of the meeting today is understanding falling out of love. It is part of a series of lectures that I gave under the title of How to Understand Love and Be Happier. The title suggests that I believe there are a lot of people that are miserable because of misunderstanding of love. If you believe that if you flap your hands, you're going to fly and you don't fly, you feel disappointed. The reason you feel hurt is because you had unrealistic expectation. You expected something that simply cannot happen. So if you understand love based on reality, based on science, you're going to be significantly happier than the other person that perceives love based on fake news, wrong information, imagination that cannot happen in reality. And our approach to that will be using science. That's why this is part of the Paris Science Group. You probably don't know much about me. My name is Fred Nour. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a neurologist from America. And I spend my life studying the brain. So as you listen to the lecture, you probably do like me. Every time I go to a lecture, I start by asking myself two questions. Who is talking? Why is he or she talking? Who is talking, meaning if the person qualified to discuss the topic. I attended many lectures by people who are not qualified to discuss the topic and give you a lot of garbage. So to save my time, I like to know who's talking. So I am a neurologist. I studied the brain. I happened accidentally to give a lecture about the science of love. People liked it, asked me to give it again every year over Valentine's Day, so I accumulated knowledge. Then my daughter went to college, and in college she was told that in order to find the perfect mate, you have to have sex by multiple people to choose the perfect one. She came home to ask me, Daddy, is it true, the scientific evidence that sex is the method of mate selection? I said, no, there's garbage. There's not such a thing. If there is, have them show it to you. They're not going to find that. And she said, no, they have, and they give me a book. And she gave me this book. I took the book and read it. It's called Anatomy of Love. You know, anatomy is a medical term. Ana meaning to take apart, ectomy to cut. Is to cut the body apart to little pieces to understand how it works. It's a medical term. You're supposed to conclude that this is a doctor then, calls herself Dr. Helen Fisher. But with my education, I see she's a PhD, stands for Doctor of Philosophy. She had education is philosophy. But somehow for her, she believed that philosophy and science is the same thing. What's the difference between philosophy and science? And as I read the book, I found it boils down to this. She is a sex researcher. She decided to devote her life to studying sex. Why would you at age 16 or 18 decide to do that? I don't know. And she studied that as a biological evolution of sex. So she became as what she calls biological anthropologist. And in her book, she clearly claimed on page 379, just to quote, to give you the sense of the book, it say no sex, no orgasm, no flood of these cuddle chemicals. She is referring to oxytocin and vasopressin. And without orgasm, a woman cannot distinguish a patient empathetic Mr. Right from self-centered Mr. Wrong. Basically, she believed that a woman chooses man based on sex and orgasm. One meets a man who's ugly, smells bad, but she wants to have sex. She has sex with him. Oh my God, orgasm, you're wonderful. And based on that, she will select him as the empathetic Mr. Right. Lest with orgasm, a man deposits seminal fluid that contains, and she lists some chemicals that can potentially push a woman over to the threshold into falling in love. So sex, orgasm, ejaculation, chemicals, enough of it get you to fall in love. I felt this is garbage, this is nonsense. Somebody has to correct the pseudoscience. The media love to talk about sex, anything with sex sells, but I have to correct it. So I wrote this book called True Love, How to Use Science to Understand Love. This is the American version. There's an English version and German version, but that's beyond the point. Next question, who is talking? Why am I giving you this lecture? Most likely you think it's because I want to sell more books. I sold books before, I made money, But my publisher, like many publishers, went out of business, so I don't get any money. But the books belong to this guy called Jeff Bezos of Amazon. And if you like the book, buy it for your own benefit. But I don't benefit from that. So first, I gave lectures about phase 1 of love, mate selection. I gave lecture before about romance. Now we're going to talk about something else, falling out of love. But love always begins by mate selection. I have never ever met a person who told me, oh, I am in love with who? Oh, I haven't met anybody yet. It's impossible. You cannot fall in love, you cannot love unless you select a person. So the first step is always mate selection. And there I dispelled some myth. I'd like just to go over the conclusion here as we already had the lecture. First myth is that love comes from the heart. For me to put pictures on intonation about the lectures, everyone has to have a picture of a heart. If there's no picture of the heart, it's not about love. But in reality, we love with our brain, not our heart. The heart has nothing to do with love. The heart is just a pump. Next, according to this woman, love starts with sex or lust. She said that love starts by lust. Then at the lust goes, oh my God, so many orgasms. I love you, so wonderful. And you fall in love with that person. Oh my God, we have been having love and sex for so long. I'm attached to you. I never let you go. I never find another man or another woman. She always talks about women and men. And that's it. I say no. Love is not sex and sex is not love. Sex existed before. Sex, one of the oldest instincts. Sex continued. But love was added later on as a separate system. It's not the same system. It's a separate system to control sex. Sex is toward a group of people. Anyone will do. The more we mix with, the better outcome we can get. Love came to control that and make you have sex just with one person and stay with that person until the children are old enough to survive, which takes human about 16 to 18 years. So love was evolved for preservation of species by holding the two people together. We covered that before, so I'm not going to go over that detail. Next, that love is a one event that lasts a lifetime. No, love happens in 4 phases. And we'll talk about that now. First is mate selection. You have to select who you're going to love, and that's done by the 3 parts of the brain. The oldest part called the reptilian brain, the emotional part called the limbic brain, and the conscious brain. And to experience love, the 3 parts have to select the mate. Once you selected a mate, you enter romance, falling in love. This is the phase that we all believe or think this is love. Every love story is written about how 2 people met and they fell in love. It's all about romance, which get you, based on continuous supply of fake news, to believe that the reality is love is romance. And if the romance ends, love has ended. And we talked about that before. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Actually, romance ends one day and you go to the purpose of this meeting, falling out of love. So we're going to dissect that more. And actually, after a period of time falling out of love, you go to the true purpose of love, the real love, the true love. This will be the topic of the next presentation if you want to attend. It's going to be same time, same room number, just next week. Okay, let's move on and dispel more myth. Myth number 4 is that sexes are equal in the mate selection effort. Biology tells us that no, they are not. The reason is biologically, a woman has a total of 520 eggs in her lifetime. The men have 600,000 million sperms. The men have huge supply, women have very little supply. That makes the value of the egg for the woman is totally different from the value of the sperm for men. That's why men and women do different efforts to select a mate. Men can afford to do it wrong and try again and again. He has so much sperms. Women cannot. So if you look at any lecture, you find more women are attending than men. If you look at any book about love, you find more women will buy it than men because biologically it's more important. It's not success, it's not discrimination, it's biology and reality. Next, supposedly the same biologist or anthropologist claimed that she discovered there are 4 personality types, and that you just have to find which of the 4 personality type. You take her questionnaire, and then you find a mate with the same personality type, and that causes a perfect match and happiness and real love that lasts forever. And based on that, she had Match.com start, I think, Chemistry.com or some other website that do personality testing and find a person that matches your personality. First, there is more than 4 types of personalities. There are as many personalities as there are people. I talked about that before, and if needed, we can repeat some of the lectures. Next, they claim that you can find the perfect mate by personality matching, and you go on the website and do a personality test to find a matching personality. Never work, never succeeds. Genetic matching could be more successful, but our knowledge about genes is still very small. So at this time, it's not possible. But there's evidence that mate selection is basically genetic selection. You're selecting a mate with the best genes that when mixed with your own gene will produce the most healthy children. And the mate that's not attractive to you is not attractive because his genes, when mixed with your genes, will produce unhealthy children. So nature tell you, go away from that. Next, misbelieve that you can intellectually select the perfect mate and make a checklist. I want a woman that height, that weight, looks like this, and that, check, 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 you have that. I fall in love with you, will be happy forever. That never happened, never succeed. You cannot intellectually select the perfect mate. You have 3 parts, 2 parts unconscious, automatic, what we call chemistry or instinct, and they are more important in mate selection than the conscious selection. So forget that you can make a list. Let's shift to romance or falling in love, which I covered in the last presentation, but I'm going to cover just one part of it, which is the manifestation of romance, because when you fall out of love, you lose this manifestation. They no longer exist. So we look at them one by one. First one, you hold, you keep every letter, every rose, every card, oh, so wonderful and lovely, and so on. We call it in medicine hoarding. When you fall out of love, you don't do that. What is this rose? It's 2 or 3 years old, it's dry and ugly, trash it. It's not important anymore. You lose the desire to hoard. You keep thinking about your mate against your will. You're obsessed with them. Oh, I should focus on my work and so on. Oh my God, she's so pretty and good. No, forget about it. Think about your work. You cannot do that. You fall out of love, you no longer think about them against your will. You probably don't think about them that much. You keep texting and calling. He is in a meeting for 2 hours. He cannot read any text. No, you're going to send him a message every 5-10 minutes. I know I shouldn't do it, but I don't know why I do it. Compulsion. You keep doing that. You fall out of love. Oh, no worry. I wait until they come home. You stay awake at night thinking about my maid or how beautiful she is. Look at this dress. Look at this earring. Oh my God, this was so great. Insomnia. You fall out of love, you don't do that. You probably sleep and snore to wake your partner up. When in romance, you feel happy, ecstatic, joyful. I'm on top of the world. I'm so happy because I'm in love. When you fall out of love, you lose that. Oh my God, what happened? I'm not in love anymore. I don't feel good. This is bad. I lost the loving feeling. Oh, well, that means the love feel goodbye. I lost that, as if this is the purpose of romance. In reality, it's not. But that's a different lecture. And you remember the details of your romance for a lifetime. You remember your first date, what he was wearing, what she was wearing, where did you go, what did you eat? You had ice cream, what was the flavor? You continue to remember that. The first kiss, everything, you remember it for a lifetime. You fall out of love, you don't remember what did we do 2 or 3 days ago, what did she wear? I have no idea, I forgot it. It no longer stays. You see, beloved, your heart beat fast. That caused people a few thousand years ago to believe that love must come from the heart. Because the heart is the one beat fast, must be the heart have eyes to see the beloved. In reality, it's the brain that saw the beloved. got excited, the brain sends the signal to the heart beats faster. Just like you're driving your car, you see somebody going to hit you, you step on the brakes, the car stops. It's not the engine is so smart, so the other person stops. It's the brain of the driver that did that. So it's exactly the same. And you see the beloved, you feel shaky, sweaty, and nervous. You fall out of love, you see them, so what? Here she is again. Oh, here he comes home again. Oh my God. And in the past, when you see your mate talking to another competitive mate, you feel jealous, suspicious. Oh my God, he's talking to that woman. He's going to fall in love with her and leave me. I hate this woman. I'm going to hurt her. I don't want him to be with her. No, that doesn't happen. You don't say, okay, that's fine. I don't care. Fell out of love. Also, during romance, you see your mate as extremely beautiful, handsome. Oh my God, she's so beautiful. She looks exactly like the painting of St. Mary in the different painting. Just a perfect looking woman. Illusion. And then you fall out of love and it looks so different. Oh my God, look at her nose. She's so big. My God, did it get bigger since I met her? I never saw that she had a big nose before. Was I blind? How could I not see that? That's unbelievable. How could you? Oh, him. Oh my God, look at these ears. He didn't have ears like that. You start to see them as they are in real life, as opposed to imaginary illusion. You see them as you wish they are. And before you believe that your mate will completely change with love, you have delusions. He is a cocaine addict, but no. Now that we are in love, he's going to change. He's not going to be a cocaine addict anymore. He's going to be a wonderful person. Oh, this guy is a member of the Gilets Jaunes. He's always going in demonstration, always enjoying destroying other people's property, raising hell that the government is not stealing more money from rich people to give to him. How terrible. No, you see, now we're in love. He's going to completely change. He's going to start his own corporation. He's going to be very successful and rich. Now in love, everything will change. And then you fall out of love, you lose the delusions. Oh my God, he's a cocaine addict. He's going to live and die as a cocaine addict. How stupid am I? How could I ever fall in love with such a drug addict? How could I be so stupid? Oh my God, this guy is with the Gilets Jaunes. He'll be with the Gilets Jaunes to the day he dies. He never get a job, keep a job. He doesn't want to do that. He enjoys getting money from other people. He's terrible. You see things differently. When you're in love, you pay close attention to your lover. You pay attention to all the details, hypervigilance. You fall out of love, you don't see that. Oh, honey, did you see my hair cut? Oh my God, you cut your hair? Yeah. Was it long or short before? I don't remember. You no longer pay the attention. You cannot see all the details. It's no longer important to you because you lost the chemical effects of those that are produced in romance. And here are the chemicals I'm talking about, medically called monoamines, two families. The family to the left is called catecholamine. The family to the right is called serotonin. Catecholamine have three members: epinephrine, called in France and England adrenaline. Epinephrine is a Greek word. Adrenaline is a Latin word, same meaning, like the word false and faux. False is in English, faux in French, means exactly the same, just two different languages. The second is norepinephrine or noradrenaline. The third of dopamine. So out of this chemical, dopamine is just one. Another myth we covered before, that romance is true love. I'll tell you that romance is not true love. Romance is a phase preparing to true love. Similar to saying that the pregnancy, the 9 month, is not the baby. It's a phase preparing to have a baby. It has a purpose, and when the purpose is achieved, it has to end. So romance is a phase preparing for true love. Romance is a phase to cause multiplications of the cells and the receptors that cause true love, as we'll talk about that later on. So romance is not true love. Romance is caused by dopamine. This is the magical discovery by supposedly Dr. Fisher. The answer is no. Romance cannot be explained by dopamine alone. I mentioned to you 4 chemicals, and I'm sure there are other chemicals as well. She was in the news worldwide because supposedly she discovered the love center in the brain. Part of the brain called the ventral tegmental area And this is where love happens. But something interesting. If you look at the back of your head to the left side, you have a vision center, what you see in the right part of your vision. If you damage that by stroke, a tumor, you lose vision in the right half. That happens to 100% of the people 100% of the time. So I can say, yes, if you damage it, you lose the function. That has to be the center for vision to the right half. What happens if you damage the VTA? Millions of people have strokes. I had strokes, damaging that. Nobody ever lost the love for the family, the loved one, the spouses. You damage it, nothing happens. If you go to the back of the brain and you stimulate it with an electric current, you see colors, arrows, zigzag, shapes, and so on. What happened if you stimulate the VTE and they've done that? Nothing happened to love whatsoever. People just say, I feel hungry, give me something to eat. So VTA is related to appetite, has absolutely nothing to do with love. Love is not located in one part of the brain. Love is multiple systems all over the brain. That is why nobody ever had a stroke damaging any location of the brain that resulted in loss of their love. Finally, she believed that love is caused by dopamine, and dopamine causes addiction. Dopamine does not cause addiction. It is the most dangerous people in the society are those that know a little bit and think they know it all. She is wrong in that, and she believed because dopamine causes addiction and love is caused by dopamine, love has to be an addiction. This is also garbage. Love is not an addiction. Love is a normal human behavior. Love is something that's normal among us. Addiction is a disease. So we have to ask the question, can romance last for a lifetime? You hear people say, if it's not forever, it's not love, it's not romance. Actually, no. That is not true. It is there for a purpose, which is to multiply the cells needed for the next phase. And once the goal is achieved, it has to end. Like the 9 months of pregnancy is for a purpose, to change that infant from being a microscopical cell to being a body big enough for the mother to hold in her hand. When that goal is achieved, the pregnancy has to end each and every time. And we move to the next phase called labor. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's miserable, but it's needed to eventually have the real baby. So falling out of love is a phase necessary for us. We'll talk about why, the benefit, to eventually have true love. So if romance is for a purpose and the purpose is achieved, it has to end, which means it cannot last for a lifetime. It never did, never will. If you believe that, you again have fake news. So romance must end one day. You have to accept that. Your past experience, if you're not very young, will tell you that. And romance is always followed by the next phase, which is falling out of love. When all the chemicals of romance stop and you go back to your baseline and you lose all the effects. So this is the topic of this presentation. And I have two goals for you that I would like you to understand. One, the reason for falling out of love. Why does it happen? Number two, the benefits of falling out of love. We all think, oh my God, we fell out of love, goodbye, let's have a divorce, select another mate, fall in love again. After a period of time, we fall out of love. Then we divorce the second time, select a mate, fall in love, and eventually we fall out of love. Never mind, it failed. We keep going, and we never, ever find true love. It's similar to the woman who gets pregnant, enjoy the pregnancy, then the labor, oh my God, it's failed, whatever, abort that baby. She goes and gets pregnant again 9 months later, get the labor pain, oh, it failed pregnancy. Goodbye, abort that baby. She can try 100 times, will never ever have a baby. You have to go through the pain of labor to have the baby in your hand. There's a song about falling out of love that I like sometimes to refer to. You probably know it, by Barbara Streisand. You don't bring me flowers anymore. He used to send her flowers. He used to sing a love song. He used to talk to her forever. He used to hate to leave her. He used to talk forever. That's because he was in romance. He was having the chemicals. She was so wonderful. Now all that stops. Now all that ends. He doesn't send flower. He doesn't sing. He doesn't talk that much. Fell out of love. Maybe a better way is to study love by example. And as we are in Paris, and as the most popular opera in Paris is Carmen, I thought it would be appropriate to use the opera Carmen to study falling out of love, how it happened, the manifestation. Because maybe some of you will be surprised that the opera Carmen is about falling out of love. And let's go through the opera part by part. First, Carmen is a gypsy. She comes out of the factory and sees this guy in a soldier uniform called Don Jose. One look at him and wow, you are great. She gets a flower, throws it at him, and sings the famous aria, L'amour est un oiseau rebelle. Love is a rebellious pet. And she dances for him. What happened to her? She fell in love at first sight. Took a look at Jean Jose, his uniform. Wow, this is wonderful. Bang, she fell in love with him. She has a very strong monoamine system that kicked in and made her have all the chemicals to feel he's so wonderful. She loves him. But he doesn't. He just listens to it and leaves. Later on, Carmen stabs another girl in the factory, so they arrest her and put her in jail. And he takes custody of her. Over there, she sings him another song. And voila, now after the second song, he falls in love with her. That means monoamine all over his place. All of Don Jose's senses have completely changed. Now he perceives her in a totally different way. Now she's wonderful. Now she's great. Now this other woman deserves to be killed. Now Carmen is right and correct to do that. And he let her escape. If you're a soldier in charge of a prisoner and you let them escape, you failed in your duty, you get punished for dereliction of duty. So they send him to jail for a month. So he goes to jail for a month. When he's released, she goes to him and dances an exotic dance for him that made him fall in love with her even more. His brain releases more monoamine. His perception of her is superhuman. She is the best human being ever exists. She is great. He is madly in love with her. He receives a call that he attend back to his barracks for duty, but she demands that no, I want you to prove that you love me by destroying yourself, by running away with me and my smuggler friends. We'll cover that later on, but when we might talk about what love is not. But she demands that of him. He initially resists, but then his superior, Zuniga, comes in and starts to flirt with Carmen. Now, Don Jose is in love, meaning his brain is loaded with monoamines. One of them is epinephrine, adrenaline, which causes jealousy. So start to feel jealous, he goes and hits him and stabs him. Now, he has assaulted a superior in the army, you get killed, you get punished severely. Now he's stuck. He cannot go back as a soldier. He has no choice but to go with Carmen and her outlaw friends into the desert and the hills and live the life of a gypsy. But doesn't matter, he's still in love with her. Now, as time passes, Carmen starts to feel that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. I'm tired of you. I want you to leave. Go back to your mother. Don't stay with us. But Don Jose is still in love with her. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go to his mother. So what is happening? Carmen fell out of love. Don Jose is no longer this wonderful, great human being with this beautiful military uniform and so on. He's just another soldier with thousands of soldiers in France and has a uniform with thousands of soldiers with the same. He's nothing. I don't like this guy anymore. Go away. But Don Jose doesn't want to go because he's in love with her. His brain is filled with monoamine. She's still the most perfect human being. She is great. Now that she fell out of love with him, she goes and falls in love with another man, Escamillo. He's a bullfighter. He has hundreds and thousands of people in the ring saluting him. He has a good-looking uniform. She feels he's a better choice for her than Don Jose. So many others showed her like Don Jose, not as many for Escamillo. Escamillo is better for me. She falls in love, releases the monoamines. Escamillo is wonderful and great. That is what's happening in her brain now. She erased everything related to Don Jose and now having new set of monoamine for another person. Don Jose confront Carmen with a desperate appeal for her love, willing to forgive all that happened. Nothing happened, just come back to me and I'll forgive everything. You left me for another man, that's okay. Love is forgiveness. So what's happening in his brain? He is in love with her, but she is not in love with him. She's now in love with somebody else. How did that happen? She fell in love faster than Don Jose, so she has a stronger monoamine system. She fell in love at the first sight. Stronger system will multiply the cells needed for the next phase faster. She will finish the job and fall out of love first. Don Jose took him longer to fall in love with her because his monoamine system is weaker. So it takes him longer to fulfill the job and multiply the cells needed for the true love. So as a result, he hit a period of time when she finished the job, she's out of love. He's still in the phase of making love, and this is what's happening now. He's still working and multiplying his cells. He is in romance phase. She is in out of love phase. So the opera Carmen is about two people falling out of love at two different speeds or paces. Carmen refuses to go back to Don Jose. Don Jose, with all the chemicals in his brain, refuses to accept reality and kills her, stabs her to death. So now when you see Carmen, you can see what it's about. But it illustrates to us the reason for falling out of love from Carmen's point of view. That she achieved the goal of loving the first one. She saw the reality about him, and she decided, no, I don't like him, he's not good enough for me, I need somebody else. As she is out of love, she can fall in love with a new person. So one of the benefits of love is you can, if you made a mistake the first time, you can make a second choice and you can fall in love a second time. But if you did not fall out of love, you cannot fall in love again. Best example, a woman is pregnant by a man and the fetus is 6 months old. Can she get pregnant by a second man and have two fetuses? One is 6 months old and second fetus is 2 months old? No, it's impossible. It can only be one fetus at a time. The same, you can only fall in love with one person at a time. If you want to get pregnant by the second man, the first fetus has to be aborted or delivered. It has to be finished with that. She's done with the pregnancy. Now she's ready to get pregnant by another mate. You have to fall out of love with one person to fall in love with another one. We'll dig into that a little bit deeper with another movie called Of Human Bondage. I like that movie because actually it is a real life story of the author that he wrote it into a book that became a movie. So this is a real life history. The author made minor changes, but when they went back, it was the same. So it is sensitive, club-footed artist Philip goes to London to study to become a medical doctor. In reality, the author had stuttering. In this story, in the book, changed things a little bit from stuttering to deformed foot, clubfoot. Now in London, he goes to a tea room and suddenly fall in love with a vulgar tea room waitress called Mildred. And his brain is loaded with monoamines. Mildred is disdainful of his club food, makes fun of his food, and his interest in her, she makes fun of that. But it doesn't matter. He fell in love with her. His brain is full of monoamine. He cannot perceive her like this. She is manipulative and cruel toward him, but he perceives it as what? That she is the most beautiful and kind woman ever. That the effect of romance alters perception of reality. She is the most wonderful human being. Monoamine altered the perception of reality. He goes and proposes marriage to her, but she refuses. And she selects to marry a salesman called Emil and leave him and goes away. Later on, he meets another woman called Noura. She is better looking than Mildred. She is a successful romance writer, so she is romantic, have a strong monoamine system. She falls in love with him. Her brain is loaded with monoamines, so she gets the delusion that she's going to change him and cure him of his painful obsession with Mildred. Just with time, his brain will change, even though he did not fall out of love of Mildred yet. Noura is definitely a better person for him, but he cannot fall in love with Noura. And why that? Because he did not fall out of love from Mildred. Mildred later on comes back pregnant, claiming that Emil has abandoned her. So Philip is still in love with her. His brain is still loaded with monoamine. He still cannot see reality. He still cannot see that the other woman is better for him. So what he does, he provides her with a flat, arranges to take care of her financially, breaks off his relationship with Noura. He cannot love Noura even though she is a better person because he did not fall out of love from Mildred. He still offers Mildred everything he can because he is loaded with monoamine, did not fall out of love, still cannot see reality. So why couldn't he fall in love with the better person, Noura? The answer is because he did not fall out of love from Mildred. In other words, falling out of love have benefits. Number one, objective evaluation of your mate choice. You know, when you go and buy a house for €1 million, the banks in France, the same in US and every country, tell you, no, 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 no. The transaction is not legal. You have to wait for 30 days, what they call in English, cooling down period. Get the emotions go down so you can start to see reality. Am I really ready to spend $1 million in this apartment? Or maybe it's not a wise decision, I can go back and it's legal. All the government all over the world took that from nature. Nature does that for us with the romance. It intentionally put us through a phase of falling out of love so you can objectively look at your mate. Oh my God, he's a cocaine addict. Is he likely to change, or once a cocaine addict for life? He's a cocaine addict for life. Maybe it's a good idea to tell him goodbye and look for another one. So you had an objective evaluation of your mate. The other one who fell in love with the Gilets jaunes realized he will continue to be the same. He hopes to have a better standard of living by pushing the government to steal more money from those that are working and giving him. He'll never change. Maybe he's not. Maybe a third person, yes, I see she has a big nose, but she's a kind person, she's loving, she's a good housewife, she's a good cook, she's a lot of wonderful things. I'm really overall happy with her. The nose is not a big deal. Then maybe I will stay and wait for the next phase to come, which is true love. So falling out of love, give you objective evaluation of your mate to decide, should I stay, should I leave? The €1 million mortgage, should I keep it? Should I tell him, no, I changed my mind, I can't? This first objective. Second objective, if you decide to change, now you have the ability to switch to a new mate, make another mate selection, fall in love again, fall out of love again, reevaluate again. So you can eventually make a successful relationship and find true love. So stop thinking that falling out of love is a failure of love. Falling out of love is a step that's done for a meaning, for a reason, for a purpose, for a benefit. You should be like the woman in labor. It's painful, it's comfortable, I hate it, but at the same time she's thinking how wonderful it will be to hold that baby in my arm and have him as my beloved baby or child for a lifetime to come. How great that will be. The same. If you are with the right person, you think how wonderful when we have true love and share that love for a lifetime to come. And it's okay to put up with the pain for this period of time because I know it's going to end like the mother in labor knows that the labor pain is going to end. Next question, people ask, when does it usually happen? I already said that we all have different monoamine systems of different strength. So as a result, some of us have a strong system that get the job done fast and fall out of love sooner. Some of us have a weaker system and it takes us longer to fall out of love much later. But everybody at the end will fall out of love. A statistical average is about 2 years. Some people a little bit more, some people a little bit less. And the sad part is people react by asking for divorce. I looked at the United States and they have a graph showing at the horizontal the duration of marriage and on the other side the percentage of divorces. And the US government have only 2 pieces of information about the marriage. The day you buy the marriage license, which is not actually the date of the marriage, but this is the date that the government has. And the second date, the date the judge will sign the divorce decree. Doesn't have when did you decide to divorce or whatever. So there's always a lag between people deciding to divorce and the actual divorce decree. So when you look at the graph, you see how it peaks about 2 years, a little bit more by 3 years. That's the time it takes for the divorces to be filed. Then as more people have the divorce finalized, the incidence goes down and down and down. So statistically speaking, most people who decide to divorce based on the fake news that get them to believe that the truth is love should last for a lifetime, and if love ends, then something is wrong, and that I have to divorce and start all over. Now it's time for question, discussion,